weird light. I gotta turn this light off. This is fine, this is fine. Hi everybody, sorry I'm late. Oh gosh. It was a really wild commute home because there is a really nice street festival in my neighborhood coming up this weekend, so sorry about that. My name is Zach Haller, welcome to Trending Topics, and I was rushing home, so I'm sweaty, so I had to take off my shirt. So I'm just gonna stop apologizing for that, and when it's winter I probably won't, but for now I don't care. So welcome to Trending Topics. My name is Zach Haller. So I need to share this and welcome everybody. I'm seeing all of these, so many great names. So many of my friends are here. I wish I could say everyone's name. Yep, Shirtless Pundit is live. So I got kicked off Facebook for a day because I tried to change my name after this live stream last week to Shirtless Pundit, and they did not like that, so I got kicked off for a day. But after that, they put me back. I transitioned some of it. So the Shirtless Pundit is going to be my, brand, basically. So some of my handles are going to be Shirtless Pundit, and then my name is still going to be carried in the Zach Haller Affair on my YouTube channel. Hi, Jan. So definitely just kind of stay in touch with me, and pour yourself a drink, because that's super important here. And I just smoked half a joint. It feels amazing. Oh my god, I love Washington State. So I feel really good, and I am pouring a drink, and it's gonna feel, get over it, shirtless as childlike. I don't give a shit, really, honestly. Maybe I'll put one on later, but probably won't. I don't really care. Cheers, 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 cheers. Sorry. Okay, so the rule is that when I drink, you drink. So that's how it goes. So when I drink, you drink. Here we go. Oh, that's a high level of satisfaction I'm feeling here. Okay, everybody, so we'll get started here. My name is Zach Haller. Welcome to Trending Topics. This is the show where we discuss what's trending, what's not, and certainly what should be. Thanks for supporting Real Progressives. Make sure you follow Real Progressives. If you aren't, follow me and join the whole indie media community, because the indie media community is the place to be, and that means you don't get paid by a network. So we have to support each other, and I mentioned the Shirtless Pundit, so I'm launching a YouTube channel. I've kind of been branching up, and I know, so I can say I smoked weed without any consequence because it's legal to smoke weed here, and that's amazing, and that's part of the reason why I do it, is because YOLO. So about indie media, so my YouTube channel. So I'm in the process of rolling out a YouTube channel, and it's called the Zach Haller Affair, and I hope that you check it out and follow it. So this YouTube channel is going to be by the people, for the people. That's just how I'm describing it. We're basically going to be bringing on videos from everyone, 5-minute videos on any topic you want. We'll have some suggested topics. We'll have some other topics so you can freestyle, but it's going to be a channel that's completely comprised of lots of people. At the whole grassroots, kind of like Real Progressives, very much like Real Progressives, but a YouTube community, because Facebook, obviously there's a lot of activity on Facebook already. So we're going to work on a YouTube channel that's consisting of videos, better by the people, for the people, and there's going to be a number of contributors, Mike Sinato and Katie Johnstone, who are, in my opinion, the two best writers on earth right now. And it's so funny because I sent them this email inviting them to join my channel, and I literally wrote to Mike and Katie, and I don't know if I have a drink, definitely, so if you need a drink, have one. I need to drink a lot during this because I'm actually going to be really happy about it for a second and just indulge myself real quick, because I emailed Katie Johnstone and Mike Sinato to talk to them about how to join my channel and how to get their videos up on my channel, and I'm just literally writing this email, and I'm like, so AJ Goodman was obviously a huge YouTube guy. The Real Progressives community has been growing as an activist community on the ground. But the person, so HA was one of the big ones, but lots of video with writing. Mike Signato's writing through the election, he was just the razor sharp vision the entire time. He is, to me, the most impressive, prolific, breadth of coverage, outstanding writer. Writing for The Observer is no small deal. And so that he's had this place as the voice of reason at The Observer for this long, and that he got us through the election and did not ignore fraud, that's kind of a big deal. So Mike, to me, is like the best writer, has been the best writer on the internet through this. And I've been so lucky to get to know him through Real Progressives, and I just am like honored to like even communicate with him, much less to work with him and be his friend. And Mike, you're the badass, so thanks for everything you do. And speaking of badasses, then Caitlin Johnstone came out of nowhere and it just like completely changed the game. And we had, it was so refreshing seeing a new voice come in, because we need new voices. And Caitlin has just been killing it, and just incredible, obviously. I mean, every one of her pieces is required reading, and honestly, she's teaching everyone so much, and she has the fire and the just real understanding of the big picture and how it relates to our everyday life. That Caitlin is just an absolute, I obviously only read, I speak Spanish, but I really only read in English, so from what I'm aware, Mike and Katie are the two absolute best writers on the internet. And I can't believe that I know them personally, and they are both going to be on my YouTube channel. So it's totally a little bit of a mindfuck for me, but they're going to be contributing to my YouTube channel as video contributors. This is their kind of take on starting video. We're all kind of starting video together. Some of us I've been tweeting, they've been writing more. But this YouTube channel is going to be kind of a place for people like us who are used to writing, used to posting, to start making YouTube videos, to learn how to make YouTube videos, because it's a very specific format that you have to do, to know how to make videos that are shared indefinitely on YouTube. Real Progressives and, a lot of the Facebook communities, these videos get buried, and so you don't necessarily see them for a long time. They might be hard to search, for example. So we're all kind of starting YouTube together on this, and it's amazing that Mike and Katie, I'm such a fanboy for both of them, so it's amazing to work with them, and they're coming on the channel as contributors, and Mario Diaz is coming on as a contributor. That's not official yet, but Mario Diaz and Jessica Gonzalez are probably, assuming everything continues, going to be contributors as well. There's going to be 2 or 4 more people in our kind of original launch, and we're rolling out. So the other thing is everyone can be a contributor. Everyone's videos can get on there, and if you've done 10 videos that are on there, and you did 10, you killed it, you're on. So everyone, I encourage you to look into the Zach Haller Affair, and it's going to be a YouTube channel that's all of us just starting to add our voices in, and together, and to support each other, and to be like, look, we all have differing opinions, but we are the people. And so regardless of who we are, the fact that we don't work for a media network doesn't mean our opinions don't matter. And that's been the biggest problem that we've been seeing in corporate media, is they're trying to talk to us like they're people, when really they're employees of an organization that operates to sell media. And to that extent, they're not telling you the truth, because the truth is not contingent on the ratings you get for the stories you cover. The truth is contingent on the truth. And media networks should be tied to being fulfilling to their members. They should be honoring to the people who watch them, and that should be the standard that they set to, is that they want to do well because the people in their audience are happy, not because their donors or their financiers or their advertisers are happy. The indie media, corporate media war right now is a complete, what's the word? Analog? That might not be the right word. It's basically the same exact thing as the fact that Democratic Party is listening to donors and not to voters. The media needs to be listening to voters right now. The corporate media is owned by big corporations, and they all have interests for corporations in mind, and that is what they're doing with their programming. It doesn't matter if you go to Flint once in a while, if your whole corporation is set on a context of pleasing the people who are paying you. We need voters' voices in the mix, and we need the voters' voices in the mix for the explicit reason that we're talking about issues that matter to us as we're voting. And no corporations have any say in that. And as soon as you throw your paycheck behind it, and as soon as all of a sudden you're getting paid for your opinion, all of a sudden it might kind of stop being your opinion, because maybe you could get a meeting with your boss if you said the wrong thing, or maybe you would lose your job if you pissed off the people who are paying you. It's a very, very, very different motivation to sharing information on the internet when someone's paying you to do it per an agenda, and when people are voters with no financial incentive whatsoever, only incentive to share the truth and discuss with each other the truth, because as things are coming and as things are coming toward us and happening to us, we need to share the truth critically in the urgent moment. We don't have time to figure out your fucking spin. We don't have time to figure out your fucking bullshit. We need to be reacting to life in real time with truth. We need to understand who the people that speak truth are with us. And if you're paid by any big media company, whether it's Fox or MSNBC or the Young Turks or all three, those people are paying for your voice. And it's not just a voter saying what that person wants. It's a very big difference. And I'm so fucking happy to participate in the Real Progressives community, because it is just a conglomeration of voices. No one is getting paid to do anything. Everyone is just piling voices into the mix, because whether you like them or not, whether you listen to them or not, that doesn't even really matter. What matters is there's a diverse amount of voices, and that lots of people's voices are being heard, and that you can discuss things as they come in real time without having to worry about your boss, without having to worry about your paycheck, without having to worry about the interests of the people paying ads on your channel. It's a complete black and white scenario. If you're an independent media person who's not paid and only speaking for truth and only dedicated to the people who are watching you, versus if you are affiliated with a major network such as the Young Turks that is run by a guy named Jank, who also has a super PAC called the Justice Democrats. And you can go onto the Young Turks website, and if you pay, just go onto the Young Turks website, you can pay $1,000. If you can pay the $1,000, you can meet with Jank. That's interesting. Oh, it's like there's just this paid access scheme right on the Young Turks where you go on and you're like, wait a second, I want to talk to Jank. He also has a super PAC called the Justice Democrats. Oh, I'm going to pay $1,000 to the Young Turks and like all of a sudden be in with them and be connected with the leader of a fucking super PAC that has Democrats in the name, the party of war, the party of corruption, and the party of fraud. The party that's obviously so shameless about their corruption, they will run a media entity called the Young Turks by a guy who not only takes all this questionable money, but also is directly affiliated with the Democratic Party super PAC. And we got Nomiki Coates sitting on there, who is on the Democratic Unity Committee. These people don't disclose their conflicts of interest, and that is because they don't want you to know them. Because A, it discredits them because they have no ethics, and they're supposed to be a journalist who has ethics, and they're out there preaching like they have ethics when their entire employment is a conflict of interest. It's obvious that these people, they're not disclosing. You look at Mike Sinato, every one of his articles in The Observer, at the bottom it says The Observer, Jared Kushner is on the board of The Observer. Put it there. We can know that. That's important. Transparency is important. And if you don't disclose your conflicts of interest, it just makes us ask why. And that's not a good question to ask when you're affiliated with so many Justice Democrats, and when you're bringing people from the Democratic Party on your show as guests, when you are going out to the People's Summit and saying you're just a voter, but really you're sitting on the Democratic Party's Unity Committee and paid by a media corporation that is completely enmeshed in an organization that is just guilty of conglomerating with the entire media to install a president against the will of the voters. It's like their whole concept of it all comes back to the muddy the waters strategy. That Trump memo, the Pied Piper memo, is like the most infamous thing to me ever in the world, because it says in there that the strategy is muddy the waters on ethics, muddy the waters on transparency. It's to protect Hillary Clinton, and every single person in Hillary Clinton's network is benefiting from them protecting Clinton, muddying the waters. The Young Turks benefit from that. All of the Democrats benefit from the waters being muddy. It's like, I don't know how loud or clear I can say it, and it's like I sound like a fucking broken record, but it's just like, you need to take a firm stance on ethics or corruption, especially if you're going to try and go out and tell people that you deserve authority. If you don't have a firm stance on ethics and corruption, I'm not going to listen to you. I wouldn't tell anyone to listen to you, and you shouldn't expect anyone to listen to you. And if your entire existence is I'm a corporate media representative, the corporate media entity that's putting me on TV and putting me in front of you and trying to get you to buy a shirt with my name on it, if that media entity is paying you and is also directly connected to a Democratic Party super PAC, anyone in media immediately is like, red flag, it goes up. And it just blows my mind that these people not only deny it, not only deny the conflict of interest, not only deny their relationship with this massively corrupt party that is decaying before our eyes and crippling so much of our fucking society. They go on these fucking pedestals about how important it is that they're covering a topic while ignoring the entire institution and corrupt establishment that got it to this point. We're not stupid. We don't fucking, we're not duped by this. If any of them think that we're fucking buying their shit, it's obviously gonna hit them like a load of bricks as we carry on the truth revolution. Because it's not a question. Corporate media and indie media are completely different things. They have completely different motives, and anyone in corporate media is a paid employee, and if they have ties to any of the mainstream media that conglomerated with Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party to rig an election, deny millions and millions and millions of people that they're talking to their vote. It's literally, they're telling you, they disenfranchised you. They disenfranchised the entire Bernie Sanders revolution. Now they're touting him around, being like, oh, hiding behind him, like that's gonna give them fucking dignity. They literally were part of the media strategy that stopped Bernie Sanders, that stole all of our money, that rigged the primary for someone under FBI investigation who has supported every war in history, who obviously was under FBI investigation because she was sending classified materials on an insecure server. There was complete intention behind all of that, and that's just the broad. Classified information is the problem. It's not even talking about what the classified information is that's out for anyone to fucking read. It blows my mind how these people in the Democratic media, especially the Young Turks, can think that they have any fucking ethics because their entire corporation is a conflict of interest that is not ever disclosed. And it's like you watch today. You look at their coverage today. 2 massive scandals today. Massive bombshells. The healthcare fraud bust, biggest fraud bust in American history. Obviously, Barack Obama and his fucking attorney generals didn't bust anyone. Biggest bust in American history, basically right out the gate in Trump's first year. I mean, this is literally, Trump has this in his first year now. And I'm sure this was part of Trump's strategy. It was like, let's go big and do something that the Obama administration didn't early on. Look what they just did. A $13 billion fraud bust that is also protective of the pharmaceutical crisis in terms of limiting overprescribed opioids. Like, this was, I mean, besides the fact that people are finally being fucking held accountable, this was a really smart play for Trump right now, because it's hard to be like, oh no, that wasn't a good, like, I'll wait and watch the Democratic echo chamber try to criticize this, but, and we'll see. We'll see how it pans out, who all the people that are arrested are. I don't doubt that there was political motivations behind it. I absolutely know that there were. But at the same time, these are the types of massive busts that need to be happening for us to have any concept that our government might actually start trying to reel in the unbridled corruption that exists in this country. And so, you hear anything from the Young Turks today about the big DOJ bust? I haven't looked at it in a little bit, but I was checking a few times today. Didn't see much at all. Where are the leaders? Where are the leaders in the industry? I'm listening for voices like Mike Sinato and Caitlin Johnstone. I want to hear smart minds. Where were they talking about the DOJ bust today? Anyone on the Young Turks? I didn't see it. I saw some, it's like, it's just crazy that they expect your respect and they expect you to consider them an authority when they're not here for us when big things are happening. And it's just like, did you not know that was coming? Were you not ready to have some people just to completely like give good analysis? Like, where is all that? And they also didn't cover the massive leaks that exposed this whole wide web of bank fraud affiliated between Clinton, Ukraine, going into, it's such a massive period of time that this leak, and I forget the freaking name of it because it's just so young today, but this massive Ukraine leak today, it's like cyber or something. It's like this massive leak happened today, and it's like these documents, I mean, maybe in their favor, maybe they're like frantically running through all the documents to verify them. However, as soon as I saw this leak, it's like, okay, so first step with leaks, let's try and authenticate it. Let's try and make sure that these documents are real. And so the first thing, so if you've been following a lot of these leaks, and if you've been following the Clinton corruption, there's a lot of volume to read, so it's a fucking shit ton of reading, but if you read it all, you are aware of all of these different elements that could break at any time. And Clinton's relationship with Ukraine, the Ukrainian coup, happened in 2013, so folks that, if that's not something in your wheelhouse, and it wasn't when you saw this completely backfire when Trump was elected, Ukraine and Clintons were working together as part of the whole big strategy to get Clinton elected. We didn't really know. Now we have a better idea exactly what the nefarious behavior that was going on was, but this has been something. This was exposed. This is a pay-to-pay scandal that was exposed in the leaks last year when Bill Clinton was busted for, what is the exact details? So he basically, Pinchuk from Ukraine, who's this billionaire in Ukraine, was basically paying Bill Clinton, and there was emails that were saying he wants to talk to Bill, he wants to talk to Bill. There was a pay-to-play scandal that was exposed in the Podesta emails that showed the relationship between Clintons and Pinchuk in Ukraine, and there were all of these little legs that had related to banks and the foundations that were in play going in and out of 2013 when there was a political crisis, a coup in Ukraine. So for folks who are familiar with that, you know that moved forward after Trump was elected because it backfired. And for me, so here's my thing. And this is becoming like my journalism strategy, because it's like, okay, the whole concept, sorry, we need to drink. I need to drink. I knew this was going to happen. Today was so insane. There's so much to go over. Okay, one more. Okay, so the Ukraine situation started to, again, unravel after the election. And one of the things that I was suspicious of when the election happened and the Russian narrative came big again. Okay, so here's my journalism strategy. So this is so bizarre, and it's like I did not ever set out to be a journalist, and I still am I a journalist? I don't know. Writer, use writer, it's easier. Shirtless pundit, right? Plays on everything. It's all bullshit. So as I've been writing, so what we saw in the Podesta emails and in Hillary Clinton's paid speeches is we saw this, and I'm working on this article, and I'm so sorry there are so many scandals unfolding that this article's like 50, it's going to be like 50 pages long. This is just going to be my book. Like, I'm seriously writing my fucking manuscript right now. I can't finish it because every day there's more shit that blows out of the water and validates so much stuff that we've been speculating. So, let's see here. The Russian narrative. So the Russian narrative started right after they fucking rigged the election. Right after the Democratic convention when Hillary took the thing from Bernie. That's when the Russian narrative started. Sorry, okay, that tab is open. The other tab that I had open is my journalism strategy. Okay, so let me come back to when the Russian hacking story started. Going back to this tab. So my journalism strategy, and what I encourage everyone to do, because this is going to be really prolific within the Democratic Party and the people that they run, but also we're going to see it in every other party, because this is a very straightforward manipulation strategy. So, and I didn't realize this was such a clear method of journalism, and I hope in the future it's called like the Haller method or like something. Like, I think that I'm kind of like making this a thing because now it is a thing because the whole world changed this last year. So basically, Hillary Clinton was exposed for having a public and private policy position on every issue. And I want to break that down for a second just because it's really important to really understand what that means. And I touched on this in one or two of my writings, but so basically Hillary, who was running for president and presumed to be elected president and presumed to be the top of the Democratic Party, and so you know that this strategy trickles down into all the superdelegates, obviously because they were paying with her and want her to win because they're implicated in her bribery, but all of this trickles down to everyone in the Democratic Party. So you were going to see this exact strategy, and so using it as a way to evaluate Hillary Clinton is exactly a smart thing to think of because it's going to trickle into all the future, in every Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, everything. So basically what has been exposed is that the deep state and the corporate entities have a public and a private position on everything. And you can really honestly picture it like a grid where you have the public position and you have the private position. And these politicians, what they do in their meetings is they memorize the public position, but they also learn the private position because the private position is basically insider trading. Basically, it's all a fucking scam. It's just a huge fucking Ponzi scheme. It's fucking ridiculous. But they completely expose themselves because they expose that they have a public position that is probably always in direct contrast to the private position. It doesn't necessarily need to be an exact contrast, but for the sake of journalism, for the sake of thinking, what are they saying to us? What are they saying? What is their public position? We know it's their public position, so we know there is an alternate position that is a private position that is in direct conflict to the public position. They know that that's what they want, that people want to hear. They know that's what's going to get them elected, but they are connected to the corporations. They're getting paid by the corporations to understand their private positions, so they know how to manipulate the people that are voting for them based on the wedge issues, based on the community of people that are voting. They set their public positions public, and they maintain a complete archive and list of talking points that are private, that they coordinate amongst each other privately, so they know how to beguile the voters in the public sphere, while in the private of the corporate smoke-filled fucking rooms with cigars, they are coordinating their private positions so they know what they can accomplish, so they can communicate with other industries. Literally, it's inside trading within the Democratic Party. So it's obviously in the Republican Party too, but we just had 8 years of Barack Obama, and then Hillary Clinton was supposed to be president after. So you have to, have more of a focus on the Democratic Party because they were just in office for these last 8 years. So basically, the Haller method of journalism is look at the public policy position and expect it to be in a direct contrast to the private policy position. And we have so many leaks from John Podesta and among the other leaks, and we will continue to get leaks. You look in those leaks for what the private policy position is. This is exactly how I figured out this thing that I'm still trying to figure out how to put it into an article. I mentioned it on one of me and Katie's live streams, or on our Talking Smacks. So the big healthcare situation that we have to watch is for copays. No copays. We need to hardline no copays. Because I was like, right before the Singer Pale, and I know I have another tab open, I'm going to get back to my Russia tab. So right before the single payer bill went into California, it seemed to me, right, we just had the People's Summit, the national nurses were like single payer, single payer, single payer. It was like all of a sudden, all the Democrats that were saying it would never ever come to pass last year are magically saying, oh, we support it. And it's like, well, that's weird, because I don't see any plans. You weren't supporters of it a year ago. You haven't been working with activists on figuring out how to implement it. It's kind of hard to believe you magically support single payer when I have no track record to look at that you support single payer. And so we have this People's Summit, and they're all, oh, single payer, single payer. It's like, do you have a plan? Like, Bernie has a plan, and then you look at Bernie's plan, and Bernie's plan says no copays. And so it was interesting because basically, as this was happening, I was like, there's no fucking possible way the entire Democratic Party is all of a sudden cool with single payer. If they were totally fine with flip-flopping truly on single payer, they would have flip-flopped on single payer before the fucking election, and Hillary Clinton would have figured out that that would have been a selling point to maybe possibly get her elected. Obviously she didn't. Obviously she didn't want to. But all of a sudden that there's this magical change of heart on single payer, I'm like, sorry to be a cynic, but I'm going to be a cynic for half of my brain and think, okay, why would they all of a sudden change? I mean, they obviously don't magically believe in single payer. So let's start looking at the policies and see what they say, because my guess is this is going to be bullshit, because this is a party of fraud and a party of scams and a party of corruption. So I'm like, sorry to be cynical, but I'm going to be cynical for the sake of journalism, because that's what you do. You think about both sides. And so I was chatting with my boy Actual Flaticus, who's like one of my favorite humans on earth. He's like a brother to me now, and I know a little bit about him, and I don't know if he watches any of these, but I should ask him at some point. But if he's watching, I love you, and you know that. But I'll tell you a little bit about him at some point if I get back to a fourth tab. But anyway, so Flatty and I were chatting, and as we do, and I was like trying to figure out what the fuck was the situation with all of a sudden the Democrats supporting single payer. Oh, by the way, share this. Can you guys share this? I forgot to tell people to share it. But share this, share it, blast it, say something provocative, tell people to get drinks and join, like get more people on this, because it's good. It's going to be good. If it's not already. So, let me just indulge myself for this little story, because Flatty, so we were chatting, and Actual Flaticus is literally maybe the smartest human being on earth, in my opinion. I mean, obviously it's just on Twitter from what I see, but he, like, encyclopedic knowledge, I've never known. He's like, he to me is like AI. To me, talking to him, and he's a sweetheart, but talking to him and reading his tweets, he is to me like the living Siri or the living Alexa that's just like constantly just treating you with fucking facts. And like every single thing he has is dead on. It's insane. So he and I chat, and I vet a lot of my content with him. And I was like trying to figure out, I'm like, what is the situation with healthcare? It's not going to be Totally Giles. That's a great reference. Cheers. So I'm like, what is going to be the breaking point with single payer? And I was like, okay, so he reads everything. I read as much as I can, but he maybe reads faster or something because he's read everything. But so basically what I do, Bernie Sanders' platforms on his website were mind-blowingly thorough. I've been in immigration for 12 years, and 11, I keep rounding up to 12. Bernie's immigration plan is the most comprehensive and thoughtful immigration plan that I've ever read, and it blows my mind how smart it is, because no politicians understand how complex the immigration system is. I do for working in it, and Bernie's plan blew me away in how thorough it was. That's part of the reason I love him so much, is that plan is flawless. I don't necessarily know, because I don't have the breadth of knowledge on the other issues, but I assume most of his other plans are to the same caliber of excellence. And where there are problems or loopholes, I don't expect there to be loopholes. That's actually the exact thing. I expect them to be plans that need to be developed and need to be defined and implemented on local levels in a way that one says catch all if it's a federal plan, right? But Bernie's plans were very thorough. And so I was looking at Bernie's plan on single payer and trying to figure out what the difference between Bernie's plan. So I'm assuming, like, okay, it's Bernie's plan, but the Clintons are going to co-opt it, so they're going to water it down in some way. They're going to sell it as a scam. And so I was like trying to figure out, I'm sitting here looking at Bernie's plan being like, what of this is special that's not in any of these other bills? And I asked Alan, I was like, so if they have a public policy that's single payer, what would be the private policy? What would be the opposite? What would be the exact the eye of the needle that they would thread on this to be able to convince us to vote for single payer but have a problem in there, like Obamacare, where they're like, we're still going to fuck them over. We're still going to make them pay. So I asked Alan, I was like, Alan, what is the one most important thing that we're looking for when we're analyzing healthcare policy bills? And I hadn't even thought about it yet. I'm staring at Bernie's platform, eyes bleeding, reading it over and over. And I was like, Alan, what is the one thing? There has to be one thing. What is the one crux? And he goes, probably copays. Boom. That's exactly what it is. You look at every single one of every single other one of these health programs, Bernie's plan on his website says no copays. If you break a plan down to the absolute most simplistic element, if we're talking about healthcare, and all you need to do is to simplify to be like, what is the one thing that we just need to make sure of for a healthcare plan to be fine, is that there shouldn't be a copay. If you listen, so Caitlin and I did a Talking Smack where we compared healthcare systems, and she lives in Australia, and I was literally depressed talking to her about it, so like I was speechless for periods of time, but they don't pay a goddamn thing. There's no copays. And she actually was saying, and it's fascinating, in Australia they're trying to add a copay. So when you go to the hospital, typically you just walk down the street. Whenever you're not feeling good, just walk down the street, go to the hospital, you're good. You will walk in, show your social security card, you're out. You didn't have to pay a dime. You didn't even have to worry about maybe you would pay one dime. You literally get everything you need without having to worry about if or when you can get it. That's how it is in Australia. And she was saying they're trying to charge us a $7 copay now. And that's not even flying, because people are like, why the fuck would I have to pay for healthcare? It's a universal right. We need to be focusing on the copay. And this blew my mind when Alan found this out. And his name isn't Alan. His name isn't, I call him Flatty. He's totally identityless. But I just call him that, right? So Flatty, he was like, probably the copays. And then he went and he checked every single one of the bills. And I'm going to get this into an article soon, I promise. It's a work in progress. Every single one of the national nurses unions in California and all of these single payer bills don't say no copays. Bernie's website still, he left this message for us, it still says no copays. That's exactly how the Democratic Party is going to try and fuck us over. They're going to try and keep people in the party saying single payer. We need to examine every single one of those bills and make sure it says no copays, because Rosanna Morrow, all of the ones that the Democratic Party are selling are not, what's up, Edward? Every single one of them does not say no copays, and that's obviously what you pay. That's the exact way that they would funnel the entire healthcare system into one payment. So to get away with charging people still not being universally free healthcare, the one way they could funnel all of their healthcare scam into a next generation thing that they could get people to support is through a copay. And so what they will do is they will try to pass single payer without a provision that says no copays, which means it's truly universal healthcare. And universal healthcare is a term that we need to be using to prevent them from saying single payer, where it's a nebulous system and doesn't necessarily guarantee that there's no copay. So that, to me, and sorry if I overreacted and like overhyped that article, and I'm still working on it. I have to get it right because this is such an important thing. But that is the exact thing that we need to be fighting for in the healthcare debate, is we need to be fighting for no copay. And whoever's working in that movement, work with me, talk with me. We need to get those words everywhere. And it's going to be in this article. It needs to say no copay. Those are the rallying cries that we need every single place we go. I don't give a shit about Medicare for all. I don't give a shit about single payer. They're going to use those terms to dick us around. They need to fucking show us, whatever your plan is, show us the two words, no copay. Boom. If not, it's not universal healthcare, and we deserve better. No copay or no vote. Period. And the way that and Atticus figured that out was because I literally was like, there's a public policy position and a private policy position. And if they're selling us one thing, it's going to be the opposite. What is that one thing? How much you pay out of pocket? What is that? It's a copay. Boom. It's the first example of using the public and private policy contrast as a way to conduct journalism by studying public policies and looking at the private policies that must be going on behind the scenes in order for a corporate politician who's paid to make businesses money to be selling anything to the public that would be taking money from the corporations that are buying those politicians for the exact opposite reason. Drink. So that tab is closed. Next tab was the method, the journalism method, and I branched on the tab of the healthcare to use an example. Back to the Russia tab. So the leak that happened today basically blows open and I'm opening a second because thirsty and it's warm, and isn't this pretty? Isn't it pretty outside my place? I'm not gonna move it because I'll bump it. I've got a nice, I wish you guys could see my rings, because I have a stand, but now it needs to be charging my phone, so it's connected to my computer, which died, so it's probably worth saying. But I have this like leaning up against a soy sauce container right now because I've been eating a lot of soy sauce on stuff because it's good. But anyway, so I've got like my soy sauce, it's on my Sonos speaker, and I've got my beautiful courtyard out here. And it's a beautiful day today, which is why I am not wearing a shirt. And I am going to have another drink. And can somebody tell me what time it is? Because once again, I don't have a clock on me. So if somebody could tell me what time it is, I would appreciate that. So on the Russian hackers tab. So this scandal that broke open today, it basically, and we need to, there's a lot that needs to come out of this, right? I'm not, and this is the other 7th, thank you. Appreciate it. So and I'm going to go to 15 after. It's fine for me to go over. So I'm going to do 20 more minutes. So if you guys could just give me a 5-minute warning in a little bit, that'd be awesome. So one of the other things, this is actually really interesting because everything that the deep state is trying to do right now is they're trying to do one thing publicly and do the opposite thing privately, right? So you can apply this method to every single thing you see coming from the mainstream media, coming from politicians. It's like, I know you're saying that, so I know it's the opposite. So, and it's so interesting, you guys. Like, it's blowing my fucking mind just thinking about this, because this is the whole Democratic Party is basically the Clinton group, right? The DNC, the Hillary Clinton campaign, the Barack Obama administration, and the mainstream media all colluded together to win this election. We stopped them, thank God. Cheers to that. Happy about it every fucking day. The truth fucking prevails. But we have to realize and really understand that right now in life, the Democratic Party, the Barack Obama administration, the mainstream media, and what's the one other thing? This was 3. Oh no, and the Hillary Clinton campaign and everyone in the Clinton orbit, right? Clinton campaign, Obama administration, Democratic Party, mainstream media. Those 4 entities consolidated, conglomerated, going into this election. And right now we are chopping those bitches down in every possible way, right? That's what we're doing. And so we need to think about these in each of these different ways, because there's so many different elements to this, and they're trying to smear it all together so we don't realize how dramatic it is that the mainstream media is collapsing, the Barack Obama administration is collapsing, Susan Rice, you're never going to get away with your surveillance bullshit, the Hillary Clinton campaign is collapsing, and the Democratic Party is collapsing. It's so amazing! They're all collapsing! Drink, 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 drink! We're killing the fucking deep state! It's amazing! It's so fucking amazing! So we have, okay, so part of this is, you think about it, public position, policy position, right? Or private position. So and this is the other thing too, is like Hillary Clinton is a liar, right? This is why everyone understands Hillary Clinton is a liar, is because she's always lying, because to protect herself, she has to say what is publicly acceptable regardless of what privately is acknowledged. It completely fits into the witch Hillary concept. It completely explains. It's completely two-face. It's 100% the concept of the two-face, is you know what both sides of your mouth are saying. So here we are. They're saying the Russians hacked the election. This is very straightforward psychology too, right? Projection, where you say someone else is guilty of what you are, because it's a dichotomy. It's two things. It's like, I'm not guilty. It's completely in this. It's dichotomy. I want to call it dichotomy journalism. This is exactly what it is because every single thing you do, every single thing that is displayed publicly, you need to understand that it's being displayed publicly directly to contrast what is exactly happening privately. And that is, it's in the concept of the yin and yang, it's in the concept of the duopoly, it's in the entire like human concept of mind, male, female, father, mother, every concept that's related in twos is kind of tied to this. It's very easy for people to say, well, you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. These two, the concept of two, this is dichotomy journalism. This is how we need to think about it, is dichotomy journalism. And so, when they're saying, oh, the Russians hacked the election. I mean, obviously, you know, the Ukrainians didn't hack the elections, right? But this is a case of projection where they're like, they hacked the elections. Obviously, the Democrats just hacked the elections. And the Russia bullshit just started cropping up right when the Democratic Party stole the nomination from Bernie. And we had leaks at that time that showed that the primary was stolen. That's when it all of a sudden started coming up that Russia was obviously all of a sudden involved, right? If we as American citizens, you know, obviously voting systems, obviously we need paper ballots, we need a complete overhaul to make sure there's no foreign intrusion. Because, yeah, absolutely, you see how fucking incompetent this country is? Yeah, absolutely it's possible that our voting systems could be hacked by a foreign entity. Hopefully they would hack them for Bernie Sanders, for the love of God! That's so funny! They're like, oh, they're hacking our elections. I'm like, well, if they're hacking our elections, they'd probably hack them in favor of people who aren't corrupt warmongers, bombing every fucking place in the world and fucking hack them in favor of someone that's actually gonna make the world a better place. Like, for the love of God. It's so crazy, the bullshit they feed us and expect us to believe it. It's crazy. Oh my God, polarity, that's exactly what it is. It's the two poles. That's exactly what it is. Thank you, Litha. Nice to see you on here. So, with the Russian hacking, when that came out, it was like, okay, this is their exact opposite. This is exactly their talking point to deny primary rigging happened, to just say Russia hacked the election when Hillary Clinton hacked the election. And so that stuff was getting debunked all last year. I was tweeting about it getting debunked. I have a thread on Twitter debunking the Russia narrative as it happened before the election. And it's like, now we have all of this stuff that's happened after the election. I'm like, y'all bitches, I fucking debunked this shit on Twitter as it was happening in real time because everybody was debunking it in real time because it was bullshit the whole time. It's so funny. But it's just like, you know that they didn't have any plan for it. I mean, first of all, they fucking completely incriminate President Obama in saying, oh, the Russians hacked the election. It's like, oh, you really saying, like, Hillary, you really saying, like, oh, Obama deserves a third term. I did such a good job with Obama, but we obviously didn't protect our elections. Whoopsie doodle, but give us another term. Like, they literally sit here while Hillary had a private server. They literally sit here saying Russia hacked the election like we're such victims. And it's like Barack's over here like, all right, y'all, like, thanks for like making up this whole story about me being a complete idiot that would like, you know, not that Barack's got the American people in his mind, but it's like, you know, he obviously is just sitting here watching what the Clintons want to say about what he did or didn't do to stop any hacking or not. Like, it's just such an obvious bullshit thing, because Obama's over here like, well, you guys can say whatever you want, like, nothing happened on that, and that if anything real would have happened, like, we would have been disclosed to that as it happened, and maybe even Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump would have been observing it in real time because they were smart people and they'd be able to be like, look, this is something that's happening, it's an urgent matter right now. It's just like, it's so ridiculous that they say this and expect us to just be like, oh, totally, yeah, Barack just totally spaced out. He just totally spaced out. This all happened. It totally happened. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? It's so ridiculous. But this whole Russian narrative started at that time, and it's, you know, the Russia situation was helpful for them, A, because they wanted to build the case for confrontation in Syria, which, again, is backed by Russia, so it's kind of this manufacturing of consent in Americans to say, oh, Russia's the enemy, because then it supports people's general foolish concepts that we should, you know, be involved in a military operation in Syria. But basically, the Russia situation, when they were saying all this foreign meddling, I was like, okay, this has got to be the dichotomy again. This has got to be the opposite. They've got to be projecting. And obviously Hillary Clinton received foreign donations from tons and tons and tons of foreign countries before she ran for president. And if, like, it's one of those things where it's like these leaders, they want respect, but then they act completely unethically. It's like, do you really expect to, like, earn respect from people for acting unethically? Like, this is just how obsessed with money they are. Is they're like, oh, I'm rich, so people admire me for the fact that I'm rich, and they admire me for getting richer. No, actually, most people in this country, despite the mainstream media's insistence that we should worship wealth, most people fucking get it that life is way more than fucking rectangular pieces of paper. Caitlin Johnstone, one one of the most amazing, moving things I've ever read in my entire life was a Caitlin Johnson article that she wrote called Rectangles of Paper, or like, I haven't read it in a minute, so I don't remember the exact title, but it's like about rectangular pieces of paper, and it's the most amazing, beautiful commentary on MMT crowd will love this, but it's just like they're literally printing paper and telling us it means something. It's crazy. And these Clinton types think that we worship wealth, and that we just admire them for doing anything that makes them money, regardless of if it's ethical or not. It's like, no, actually, like, I do believe that people are good on the inside, and that people really do have concepts of good and evil, and yeah, people want to make money, but at the same time, like, people, at least for me, if you meet anyone that's so wealth obsessed and materialistic, it's like, it's a turnoff, right? Most people are like that, right? We all like to have nice things, but it's like anyone who's just constantly talking about like designer shit like that, it's like, that's a turnoff to me. That's unattractive. I don't envy that person or admire that person because they are talking about things that they've physically purchased. I'm like, in fact, if you've got nothing going for you, that you're only talking about the things you physically purchased, you're worthless. I'll just go to the fucking store if I want to look at things that I can physically purchase. I'm not gonna fucking hang out with someone that all they can talk about is the things they physically purchased. It's so ridiculous. Fuck materialism. And that's why I'm the show's pundit. So I'm like, this is my like avatar right here. It's the middle finger in the beer can, right? So the Clinton Foundation was obviously collaborating with all these international, they were getting money poured in from Saudi Arabia, all these massive, you know, donations from foreign countries. And it's like, okay, obviously if this person is running for president in 2 years, which everyone knew Hillary Clinton was going to, there was a Ready for Hillary fucking group existing, right? Like if Tulsi Gabbard, if Bernie Sanders, right? So here's a great question. Here's a good thing to think about. So Bernie obviously started our revolution, and he obviously started the Sanders Institute. And so to some extent, those are better than if he started the Sanders Foundation and just started taking money from all these foreign countries, right? That would be way, way, way different and worse for Bernie to be doing right now than starting a national political action committee, right? Our revolution, dark money group, but at least it's like in theory supporting American politics. The Sanders Institute, same thing. It's a think tank, which are typically just bad news bears, but like in theory, at least it's helping American. If the Sanders Foundation cropped up and Bernie Sanders all of a sudden took $25 million from Saudi Arabia, everybody would be like, what the fuck? Social media didn't exist not so bigly back then. So people weren't able to be like, what the fuck is Hillary Clinton doing, taking millions and millions and millions of dollars to from the Saudi Arabian government while she is obviously going to run for president in 2 years, Ready for Hillary's going on. Like, it's just so obvious. It's so insane. And so we know that there were a lot of foreign countries that were, you know, to the extent that they were, you know, meddling in election is a weird smear term because it generalizes what that even means. But it's like, obviously, the Clintons don't want you to think that money means anything. Obviously, pay to play is fucking everything. Has anyone read the fucking leaks? Like, come on. Like, literally, the Democratic Party exists in bribes. That's exactly what it is. We see that on a local level. We see that the superdelegates are all fucking bribes. We've seen all of the ambassadorships by Barack Obama that were given for how much financial donations those individuals have gotten. And of course, the Clinton Foundation is an influence peddling, money laundering, access selling organization. And that applies to the foreign governments that are paying the Clinton Foundation. This is fucking straightforward. It's like anyone with logic who reads this shit understands this. And they talk to us like it's like this, like, Zach, this is evil corruption, Zach. You're just ranting about evil corruption. It's like, oh, it's like no big deal. Evil corruption. I don't give a shit about evil corruption. Corruption, I'm not so sure about. But evil corruption, yeah, forget it. I don't give a shit. It's like, it's a fucking problem. This is not like, I'm this most, like, ethical person for saying, well, this is kind of a conflict of interest. It's not. It's really obvious. Like, that's shady shit. Like, you get busted for that. Like, come on. And they try to make me seem like a radical, but I don't feel like I'm a radical. I feel like I'm just a normal person that's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Not only are you kind of corrupt and getting away with it, you were trying to be mind-blowingly corrupt right in our faces and take our money and lie to us while you're doing it. And you expect us to fucking follow you and like care that you got paid for your plays like to flit? Like, no, like we don't fucking, we're not duped by any of your shit. It's insane. You think we are, and that's the fucking first problem you have, and there's about 100 more. We're not stupid. Keep telling me that I'm stupid, and keep telling me your private policy positions knowing you're telling me your public ones, because I see right through you. I saw right through you before. I saw right through you after. It's common fucking sense. You're getting a paycheck from a media company to do a job. I get it. I understand it. Everybody does. And just for the record, I'm not a media, obviously. Most people like compare me and Jordan T to T, and I'm like, okay, let's all remember. Zach's a random ass dude who's shirtless on Real Progressives, which doesn't pay anyone. Jordan didn't pay anyone at Truth Against the Machine. I made my first dollar on YouTube, proudly. I officially am a YouTuber. Last month I made my first $1. Maybe from Katie's video, I don't know, we're gonna figure that out. But I'm like, I've made $1 in media, and that was from my YouTube channel. $1 so far. And thank you to all the people who have contributed to my GoFundMe, and thank you for all the people who have contributed to my Patreon, because yes, I've made like, you know, maybe $100 now. I made like $600 off the GoFundMe, I got my new phone, I got a lot of stuff. But I'm not doing this because I'm like, oh, I want money or I need to get rich off this shit. No, I don't give a shit. We need more voices in the mix. Apparently, reading all of the Wikipedia emails and all of the, like, I just read a lot. I just read a lot in the past few years, knowing we were going to have a hard challenge beating a Republican in this election because the Democrats would have been in office for 8 years. So I'm like, I need to study up. And I studied up. And then I read all the WikiLeaks emails frantically in 1 month in October. And so it's like I feel like obligated to talk about it because I read it. So I'm like, I'm not going to fucking waste it just masturbating at home, not talking about all the shit that I spent all this fucking time reading. But it's like there's truth and then there's corporate media, and it's just a really, really obvious difference. And it comes back to this public and private policy situation. But to wrap up this concept of how important it is that we had and I like that this pinned tweet says we must protect net neutrality, because that's a really good thing on there, and I love that. And I keep looking down there, I'm like, is my computer frozen? But anyway, that's legit. But anyway, so to wrap up on the Ukraine topic, it was very obvious to me and to I think anyone paying attention and reading the leaks that when the Russia hacking and Russia meddling story came up, this was a direct use of the Clinton campaign and by extension the DNC and by extension the mainstream media. This was an extension of them saying, let's try and use the Russia-phobia to encourage support for the war in Syria, which is twisted as fuck to begin with, but to use Russia as the one country to try and prove Trump as colluding with as a constant distraction from all of the foreign influence that happened to the Clinton campaign, and that was obviously fine with the Obama administration, and obviously Obama had relationships with all these people through his campaign. So basically this Russian red herring is all a distraction from all the foreign influence that the Clinton and the Obama administration allowed during the election. Obviously, if anyone's really truly concerned with foreign countries meddling or being involved in our elections, they're gonna follow the money. It's fucking basic. Like, we all know this. You follow the money when you're trying to investigate what's the root of a problem. And obviously, if a person is legitimately, sincerely concerned, oh, I'm worried about foreign money, I'm worried about, that's a little xenophobic to me, right? I'm not like that. But if a person were like, I'm sincerely concerned about foreign influence in our election, maybe if you're worried about hacking, look into that. But they're smearing it into this influence, this they started with hacking. There's no proof for that. We're seeing that in this leak today. But it's like this influence. It's like that was, the Clinton Foundation was first in its kind in creating, because it's so insane. You guys, there's so much context. This is why it's so hard for me to get these articles done. After Citizens United, everything changed. There were not super PACs in any election before Citizens United. And obviously money worked in different ways to influence American elections. And obviously foreign interest groups and domestic interest groups influenced American elections in different ways before Citizens United. But after Citizens United, everything changed. And Hillary Clinton, starting the Clinton Foundation after Citizens United, after Barack installed Debbie Wasserman Schultz at the DNC, this was historically unprecedented. And this allowed Hillary Clinton all the more leeway to create the Clinton, not that the Clinton Foundation had existed, but to be able to trot all over the world. I remember being like, oh my God, she's traveling a lot. Back in the day, I was sincerely impressed. I'm like, holy shit, like, that she is able to go to all these countries and, like, meet with all these leaders. I'm like, this bitch, I've never liked her a day in my life, but I'm like, that you have that many inroads, that's kind of impressive, and if you use it well, that will be impressive, and maybe you'll get elected. Well, guess what happened? Obviously, she's just fucking going to the ATM in every fucking country in the world. Literally. That's what the Clinton Foundation was. It was a fucking global ATM for her to fucking curry favor before the election. She had Ready for Hillary going on. Oh, I don't really know about that. Oh, she had the Hillary Victory Fund conglomerating all the superdelegates. She had the Clinton Foundation conglomerating all the international community before she even started running for fucking president. And that's why in this Trump memo it says a lot of this stuff has already been going on. Like, obviously we're all in favor in the basket for Hillary this whole time, but now we're finally putting that shit to paper. Like, all of that stuff was made possible by the Citizens United ruling. And so this is historically unprecedented in that there is now the conduit for massive amounts of money to come from foreign nationals and foreign governments into the United States elections. And the direct way that that's going to happen, obviously they're not paying the government to run fair elections. They're influencing candidates. They're buying candidates just like businesses and just like everyone that buys a candidate buys a candidate. And that was allowed by Barack. That was overseen by Debbie Wasserman Schultz at the DNC in order to favor Hillary Clinton. And this is all plain as fucking day. And obviously we have a lot of very deep financial relationships. And with NATO and with the advancement of the interest in securing this pipeline in Syria, obviously so much of what these financial donations were that were coming into the Clinton Foundation were to support the economic development that they wanted to happen in Europe, in, the Baltic region down through Ukraine. This was all done for us and our financial profits, and the country that we were most up against during that period of time was obviously Russia, because it's all right there. And all of this alliance is one business entity, and all of this Western alliance is kind of a separate business entity. And it's so fucking straightforward. But part of that was the support for Ukraine by the Clintons and by the globalists, basically, if you want to use that term, which I like, but I don't. I try to stay away from the really dramatic terms. But basically, that's exactly what they wanted. The Clintons were setting up, the Ukrainian crew. Like, I don't even want to open that tab because that's a whole different world. But basically, there was a massive money laundering scheme going back and forth between this Pinchuk in Ukraine and the Clintons here. This has been going on long before it started. God knows how long ago it started, right? But the coup in Ukraine happened in 2013. There's been fallout since then. Trying to recover ground, Ukraine was, basically funneling money that was supposed to go to the actual government in Ukraine into the Clinton Foundation so Clinton could use that money from the International Monetary Fund. I need to reread these, so I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that this leak, besides the fact that it exposed an email that might show for a fact that they ordered the Russian hacking documents to be created through a CIA spy operation, I need like 2 hours. Oh my god, I need to get my channel on a schedule so I can do lives, because there's so much shit going on, it's blowing my mind. But basically, the other big thing that implicated basically what was exposed in these leaks today was the entire network, the web of banking that was going from Clinton, from Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, through a bunch of Ukrainian banks and through some Ukrainian entities. Basically, we now have the full puzzle that we have a small fraction of from the Podesta emails from that pay-to-play scandal. And obviously, we need all of these emails to be authenticated before we can go out and say this definitively happened. I don't know who in their right mind would invent all of these emails. There's such a breadth of emails that it's bizarre to me that anyone could be like, oh, they just wrote those. Like, nobody has the time. The war in the world right now is the information war. The war is the truth tellers versus the corporations. And we have truth tellers on our side in every country that are fighting against the deep state with us. And they're trying to spin this as it's a pro-Putin link. That's like, oh, it's a pro-Obama link. It's like, okay, well, that can mean anything to anyone. Like, is this on the side of the information community, or is this on the side of the deep state? That is the war that's happening right now. In my opinion, that is World War III that is happening right now. This is absolutely massive battle at the underlying core of the internet for the truth, as being told by the people and as being fought against by the corporate interests that want us to not have truth because it completely dispels every corporate interest that they have. So this leak exposed the entire banking network that existed with Ukraine in order to consolidate power going into, obviously, the Syrian crisis, going into, we've got so many different military operations in the Balkan area right now. It's insane. And obviously, Ukraine is a massive geographical ally to begin with. The political components are just like, I need a fucking 2-hour shit show to even get into the depths of this. But basically, the entire banking network was exposed that was funneling money between Ukraine and the Clintons during the whole lead up to the election, before and after the Ukrainian coup in 2013, and exposes that the Clinton campaign, the DNC, and the mainstream media, that part of what their strategy was to do, besides winning, because they needed to win to make sure they didn't get fucking busted for all this by someone like Trump, who's like, nope, fuck it all, fuck this shit, because obviously Trump's interests are vested in other things, so he's not necessarily so concerned with how this turns out, right? It's like, that entire network was so invested on not getting busted. That's part of why they were so belligerently insistent that they got elected, why Obama was so involved, why they're so desperate to hide these emails, why they're so desperate to kick everything down the road. This was one of the many machinations that comprised the Clinton, DNC, mainstream media, international capitalist community basically consolidating around Hillary Clinton as president, and this just got blown open in a way that's another massive scandal. And the elements of it that were confirmed in the Podesta emails are enough for Hillary Clinton and everyone in the United States to be concerned and to be voicing our concerns for those emails and how the timeline overlaps with those banking scandals. We also have this banking scandal coming out of Bangladesh and the corruption scandal with Hillary Clinton too, which is amazing. And all of these things in tandem are slowly breaking down the Hillary Clinton entity, the Barack Obama administration, the mainstream media, and the Democratic Party. And the more that we just keep knocking them down by calling them out, every fucking person, I should be clapping because that's how you make a statement on Twitter, Jordan Sheridan. You're part of the problem. The corporations are part of the problem. The world war is between the corporations and the people. And if you're getting paid by a corporation, you're not on the fucking side of the people. And until you stop getting paid by the corporations, you're not going to be on the side of the people. Maybe one day, if you have the candor to go on the fucking live stream and say, look, I'm trying to balance professional and personal interests because I want to be in media, but I want to be a voter too. If you fucking open up with that kind of sincerity and that kind of candor, people will fucking trust you. But if you demean and smear and insult and lie about the people who issue justified concerns about your conflicts of interest that you are ignoring, you are not giving a bone to the people. You are showing all of your allegiance to the corporate entities, and that is the enemy. Period. It's crazy. It's not hard for anyone who's not paid by corporate media to see. I swear to God, it's just the fucking 1%. They're so fucking arrogant that they think everyone worships wealth. They think everyone worships wealth so much, we're just gonna all of a sudden change our entire belief structure to favor the fucking rich fucking corporations that put on this shit. Are you fucking kidding me? You sit here and tell me how important Flint is. You sit here and tell me how important Standing Rock is. Yeah, I fucking know, and I can complain about it without being paid to do so. Are you fucking kidding me? It blows my mind that they expect respect, they expect authority when they are part of the problem. And Tim Black's wildly successful in indie media. H.A. Goodman, wildly successful in indie media. Jimmy Dore, leave the Young Turks, and boom, the amount of support these people will get if they fucking take a stand. Look at what Tulsi Gabbard did, stepping down from the DNC. You want to fucking get respect, Jordan? Step fucking down. You want to get respect, Jimmy Dore? Step down. Look, we will support you if you come to the other side. But if you fucking sit on the corporate payroll and tell us that we're lying or we're smearing, no, we are fighting the earnest fight. And we are fighting you. And until you get off fucking corporate payroll, you are part of the problem. And maybe you'll be less of the problem if you start to be honest. If Jimmy Dore takes me on, or if Jimmy Dore has a show where he says, look, here's my professional and personal interests. I'm sorry about that. Why do I have to beg for leadership, guys? It's so fucked up. They expect to be looked up to as leaders, and no, leaders don't need to be told what to do to be ethical. Why do I have to fucking tell you? You can't punch down on indie media. We are fighting the fucking cause. For the love of God, I don't need to tell you that. If I do, you're not a leader. For the love of Christ. Jesus, quit your fucking corporate jobs. We will fucking pay you. Look at Tim Black. Look at H.A. Goodman. They are killing it, and they're doing, at least from my observations, just seeing what they do online, they're doing fine financially. God, if you're doing really good work, the people will pay for it. We are here. We are rising. It's amazing. And the longer you stay on that side, the longer we see that everything you fucking say is bullshit. And don't expect us to believe it. Don't expect us to believe it, and don't expect anyone to believe you when you say, oh, Zach, you just rant about evil corruption and you do no journalism. I don't fucking give a shit how many fucking flights the Young Turks pay you to go to Flint. You literally get those fucking plane tickets paid for. Get Rick Snyder to resign. Get some people out of office. Take some fucking bold stands that I didn't even think of, because you've been fucking going to Flint so many times, you know it better than anyone else. Where's the fucking leadership, Jordan? If you have fucking something to accomplish on Flint, show us. Your plane flights there that are paid by fucking the Young Turks are not accomplishments. And in fact, if that's the only thing you have to show for yourself, it kind of means you don't have any accomplishments. Come on. Bernie was saying Rick Snyder fucking resign. Look at Bernie's script in Flint and fucking stick to that script. Don't fucking stick to Hillary Clinton's script. Oh, I went there and that was good enough. No. This crisis has been going on for so long. And yes, we can all only tackle so many topics. But if we don't straighten out our democracy through the DNC fraud lawsuit, none of this matters. And if we don't have media representatives going there, proposing solutions, demanding bold action like Rick Snyder should be indicted, where is that? Where is that from the Young Turks? You care so much about Flint? Call for resignations. Now. Why do I have to tell you this? You guys are supposedly the authority on it. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. They want your respect, and yet they need to be told how to behave if they were even to be considered leaders on anything. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. And yeah, don't even get me started on him boinking a townie in Flint, because I'm sure the truth will set us all free as we see more and more about what the corporate media's intentions are, and as we get further and further away from believing that at any point they had the people's interest at heart, because they never fucking did once. And they still don't. And we'll see going in. Watch, mark my words. We will see who endorses Tim Canova. If you don't endorse Tim Canova to beat the shit out of Debbie Wasserman Schultz in 2018, you're not on our side. And if you never did, or if you show any hesitation, we knew it. So that's a challenge to any progressive media personality. If you're not supporting Tim Canova in this upcoming election, well, then you obviously aren't taking the problem that is Debbie Wasserman Schultz seriously. And we here on the ground understand that the biggest problem in 2018 is Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And that election is going to be a national election that is a 100% proxy of the war that is going on right now. And we'll see whose side they're on. I hope they are on the side of the people, and I hope that they are on the side of the truth. But I have this really weird feeling they're just gonna muddy the waters, and they're just gonna be like, oh, it's not that big deal, Tim isn't that qualified, or he's done this, or he's done that. We'll see. We will see. We will see. And until then, I do have to give one little plug for this new Patreon group that I just started, which is already shaping up to be my favorite thing on the internet. But anyway, so if you like my rants, sign up for my YouTube channel, follow me on Real Progressives. I'm here on Thursday nights with drinks. And if you want to, you should, I have a YouTube channel called The Zach Haller Affair. And I just started a Patreon page recently, and I'm kind of, getting my stuff together. But I finally figured out a good level that makes sense. So I'm doing a lot of, I was about to say I'm having a lot of awesome conversations because I'm here fanboying, like talking Mike Signato, Katie Johnstone. Like, these to me, I'm like, oh my god, you guys just gotta read these. I'm like, this is what they're like, talking to them, they're amazing. So like, I have all of these behind the scene conversations with awesome, amazing people, Tulsi Gabbard, Tim Canova. I have these amazing conversations, and I always want to share snippets, but I don't want to post them on my personal Facebook or anywhere because I don't want anyone to get this idea that I'm like just talking to them for the starstruck nature, right? But this is an unprecedented time in history, and to whatever extent I'm involved in doing it or observing it, I basically get a lot of interesting conversations coming my way, and with my own discretion. I mean, if you were here and you had my phone, I'd be like, hey, look at this. Oh, Tulsi and I are DMing. Oh, Tim Canova and I are DMing. Oh, look what Jordan just messaged me on Facebook. You should really look at that. I can't post that ever, but you should look at that. It's funny. So that's my new $2 level on my Patreon. So if you want to go to patreon.com/Zach Haller and subscribe at the $2 level, I have a really awesome private Facebook group that started. That's basically going to be where I sip the tea and where I share anything. It's basically just like my cocktail party. Maybe I'll call it that eventually, as well as call it my cocktail party, where I just basically say, here's my phone, guys, y'all. Don't, I don't know, obviously don't take a picture of my phone with your phone. I mean, if you did, I'm over here drinking. I didn't notice, but... So, I'm branching out my presence. If you want to get involved on that $2 subscription level, I'll tell you, it's already a fucking dope-ass group of people having chats in there. So, I highly encourage you to join me. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for putting up with my shirtless behavior because, I like to think that the clothing that I'm wearing doesn't have anything to do with the words that I'm saying, but you never know how people feel about material things. My name is Zach Haller. Thanks for joining us here on Real Progressives. Subscribe to Real Progressives. Check out my channel, The Zach Haller Affair. I'm going by the Shirtless Pundit now, so get into that. And everybody have a great weekend, and stay tuned for more truth telling because you can't find it in too many places, and Real Progressives definitely is a place. And I can't lie to save my life, so if you ever catch me in a lie, I'll be impressed because I can't lie. I might get wrong some shit, but I'll never lie because I can't. I literally can't. I get really uncomfortable. It's weird. I just can't. So finish your drink. I'll see you later, guys.